Okay, there's a lot of stuff you can skip. In fact, everything modern, I think you can skip. This is something could. It wouldn't kill you to check this out because it things have accelerated quite quickly. If you want to know where we are, we can kind of put your finger on the pulse of what these cultural Marxists at this $1 billion Disney are doing. Even the scene I paused it on, if you look carefully at the screen, you'll notice like some of the what they're trying to convey to you. Um, you can watch 3 episodes online. You can find it. It's not for any entertainment value, but to know what narrative these people are pushing. Um, it's a violent narrative against. You'll see it's pretty clear. I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's this kind of a lot of there's this found family concept of a ragtag group of people who have to team up to defeat the British Empire because the bad guys have, of course, English, Scottish, and Irish accents. I mean, that phrase "it's on the nose" is going to come in handy quite often throughout this because it really just couldn't be any more than. I mean, this is beyond even what I expected to be. And even before I saw it, I did this standard prediction of, let me guess, the fair-skinned characters are going to be the bad guys, and the dark-skinned characters are going to be the protagonists. Pretty much just a line on a piece of paper, antagonist, protagonist, and start writing down characteristics of who is who. And you're like, oh, this is kind of obvious, kind of played out when it's repeated over and over again. Like, even if you're not really paying attention to movies, I think the 3 episodes I've seen of this so far are so obvious. I don't think you have to be down the rabbit hole to see what the messaging is on this. And keep in mind, there's violence in this, and it's directed at one group of people. This is worth watching. Not painful, of course, but it is worth watching, even if you've kind of checked out from this kind of pop culture type of stuff. So everyone in the show is ugly and stupid. It's basically I don't want to know if they're exactly Latins. It's just dark hair, dark eyes are going to be the good guys, and the English and the fair people are stupid, cruel, malicious. At the lower end, they're thieves and crooks. And violent, of course, violent sociopaths. And then at the higher end, they're kind of remnant. They're kind of a simile or metaphor to the UK in general, but the military and the police. And there's like, this is just kind of if BLM and Antifa got together, it's like you watch this and you're expecting them to kneel. Or something equally cringy, and you think I'm exaggerating, you can watch all 3 episodes and get back to me like, whoa, this is kind of disturbing. So non-white characters are good, and the Anglo types, just the UK types in general, I guess that's Anglo, and then I think there's a guy who's kind of a German-looking dude. They're bad, of course. I mean, like, what do you expect? You could have made this is like a trade guild. It's not the Empire. It's kind of like a Dune kind of thing, ripoff, where it's the trade guild army are the bad guys. But I mean, keep in mind, you could have made them Middle Eastern, Southeast Asian, East Asian. You could have made them anything you wanted to, but they made them the bad guys. So the choice is give them, English, Scotland, Wales accents, or give them German accents. And that would have been beyond on the nose. That would have been, but this is, as it is, it's over the top. I mean, like, how many of these shows do you have to see where I say, like, just those characteristics of fair on one side, dark on the other side, Euro on one side, non-Euro on the other side. It's like, yeah, every single time these one group of people is going to be the bad guys. I expect further on in the episodes that there'll be probably like, I don't know, like a religious or some kind of right-wing analog for religious extremists, but it won't be, they'll make sure that it doesn't remind you of any other religions, but the only group you can make fun of, the one safe group you can make fun of. If this was any more on the nose, you'd need another nose. Someone reviewed it. I think someone said, like, it's on the nose, it's touching the brain. I'm not exaggerating with these kind of remarks. You really have to see all 3 episodes yourself. It's not Star Wars. Yes, you have the sets and the costumes and the CGI, but it's. I mean, just look at the one scene. It's like it's kind of like a Bechdel test for the screen, but it's for non-European characters. So they use aliens a lot because like aliens are neutral. They don't know. It doesn't matter what they are. But I mean, even looking at the screen now, you see who's the central where the central background character is. I mean, even the hairstyle. It's like, okay, we get it. We clearly have identified this. It's like I don't know what they call the Bechdel test for this kind of for non-Euro characters, but it's something like that. But the thing is, that doesn't advance a storyline. It doesn't make the show any more interesting, and it destroys the Willy suspension of disbelief because this is just a Hollywood casting call. You have I don't know, some kind of big lead. I'll assume she's Latin American. I have no idea. Girl up front, a blonde-haired dude to the left, and then the African girl behind them, and there everyone else is either unidentifiable or aliens. And this is just a clip, in the first 8 minutes of the movie. This, of course, is the mixed race elderly couple. I guess they're scavengers or something who has to come save the day. Even if you're left wing, this is going to be kind of a hard sell. If you, especially compare it to the original Star Wars, it was younger, good-looking people who all made sense, who all looked like they belonged together. And the other, well, I'll get to this theme in a second. They have to come rescue this. It feels like I don't know what kind of savior complex it is. Maybe first world savior complex, because these two characters have to rescue this kind of third or fourth world type of primitive, like Stone Age type of character, who's vaguely looks Latin American. I mean, I'm focusing on the identity politics issues of it because it's so in the show, just over the top. So this isn't Star Wars. It's a Hollywood diversity checklist. Dark hair, dark eyes, vaguely Latin-looking characters are going to be good, and light eyes are going to be bad. It really is that simple. And this is Disney, but it's not just Disney. It's anything that's coming out modern. This is kind of the way of the future. So they openly they diversify every group, which I've noticed. Well, I'm not quite every group. They diversify the European groups. There's a tribe here which is all dark hair and dark eyes. So they're obviously a blood tribe, genetic tribe, and so that's valuable in the storytelling. But in other situations, you can't have just the same thing but apply to European people. To have fair haired and bright eyes and fair skin as a tribe, because that's not valuable to the globalists who tell these stories. This is episode 3. If you want to just watch that one episode to see what I'm talking about, you notice the treatment of like who they dehumanize, people who look like you, and who has value, people who don't look like you. So the spaceship crashes. I mean, the plot doesn't matter. I'm just kind of pointing out these cultural Marxist elements. A spaceship crashes, and the dark-haired, dark-eyed tribe goes to investigate. And one of the evil blonde invaders literally comes down or comes out of the ship. He's injured, perhaps, but he just starts blasting because he's got blonde hair and they have dark hair, and it's like they're the third world Indian type of analog. And the blonde haired invader just comes out and just starts this laser, just his blaster, just starts going to town on them. They have to use their dark guns to delete him. It's just as bad as it sounds. I mean, none of this has the good feeling. It's like with Rings of Power. I don't know if you saw the first 5 minutes of Rings of Power. You knew that you weren't seeing Tolkien. It was like it's a much like it's propaganda. When you see the first 5 minutes of that show, it's propaganda, and you can watch a couple. I mean, we see a scene like this, and just like if you wanted to really watch episode 3, if you had to watch one episode, describing it and is a challenge, and also staying within the algorithm. So Disney is really just following this checklist. We get it. English is bad. Fair skin is bad, and bright eyes are bad. Unless you're in a mixed race group, then that's acceptable. This is just insane levels of propaganda. I mean, the whole thing is unwatchably bad. Maybe the first 10 minutes of the first episode, but it doesn't feel like Star Wars. It doesn't even feel like Disney. It's just globalist cancer. It's just a checklist that it feels like, a 30-year-old woman went through this, this BuzzFeed checklist of all these tests they have to have for diversity. And it's like, well, yeah, but you took something that was wildly successful and known quite extensively. It was the Lucas Star Wars, 77 to 83, whatever Star Wars. It was a very well-known brand, and you took everything that felt accurate about it. Like I said, with the tribe, like at the original Disney Star Wars or Lucas Star Wars, you had the characters in A New Hope. They all looked like they belonged together. They might have come from different parts of Europe or even different parts of that area of the world, but they all look roughly like they belong together, like they would be a tribe together. So then, 50 years later, you go, oh, we got to diversify it. Except for the non-European characters, they can all still be a tribe. But then you get stuff like this. You go like, yeah, but this doesn't. I mean, is this common? This is a galaxy far, far away, but it looks exactly like a Hollywood checklist, where everyone is mixed race, but like he's clearly African. Like this guy is 100% African. I don't know technically where she's from, but she could be European. She could have some Middle Eastern in her, but she's clearly not of his tribe. They're not mixed at all. So you're saying like you just happen to catch these people as they're both distinct individuals with no admixture from each other at all. Like this is the first generation of these people mixing, and when you see these cultural Marxist shows, it doesn't matter if it's The Gunslinger or this or all these other shows. It's like you're seeing people who just happen to come together for the purpose of the optics of cultural Marxism. Because this doesn't make sense when groups have been together, that you destroy diversity, oddly enough, which is kind of the goal of the Marxists all along. But you all look alike after a while, because if you have say she's English and he's African, if you have 5 generations of them, well, they'll just look like a little bit lighter Africans because of the way the genetics work. But they won't look like this. They won't be distinct, diverse individuals anymore. They'll just be one kind of blobby, mixed up thing. So you're saying every time we watch a Hollywood production, we just happen to catch them at the first generation of them mixing, because by the second generation, the offspring, would look like some new thing, and then everyone would look like that. So my point being is it's like this just looks like a Hollywood checklist when you see that, and if immediately they panic when you say that, and you go, yeah, you're just gonna have to get rid of this kind of stuff, and like they can't do that. It's just a bridge too far for them. So I don't even think that George Lucas is watching this and laughing his ass off. I think he's watching it in kind of confusion and probably disgust, and I don't even know if it's resonating deeply with him. Like I don't know if it's cutting him as an insult, because it's not Star Wars. Oh, anyway, so this scene, these are the UK officers, but they're Dune Trade Guild type of characters or whatever. Like the plot doesn't matter at all, but they're supposed to be cops, they're supposed to be soldiers, and they all have English, Scottish, or Irish accents, and they're overbearing and pompous and violent and stupid and incompetent and malicious and cruel and savage, just animals. But also, they've got the access to the best technology on Earth, and they go to oppress and destroy the marginalized and disadvantaged and all that kind of Marxist buzzwords. You know what I'm trying to say? Like when I say it's on the nose, I mean this is just so painfully, stupidly topical. Where even if you're on the left, stop it, dog. I think she's dreaming and chasing rabbits in her dreams. I think you're gonna have some. I think if you're on the left, you want some fantasy world, right? Some suspension of disbelief. You don't want to see essentially an argument about like BLM and the police and the UK being horrible. I mean, yeah, we get it. That's what it is. It's just some kind of left-wing jerk-off fantasy. You really got to see this for yourself. So I don't think George Lucas is watching this. I think he's just wondering why they went in this direction. And, if this is your only exposure to Star Wars, this is like a low-res copy of a low-res copy. And then somebody goes, okay, let's take Star Wars, everything that somebody enjoyed, and let's swap out the characters that look like they fit together, and then swap in, non-European characters, and then swap in whatever cultural Marxist talking point is topical within the past 5 years, the BLM type of stuff. It's like, oh, that's not really Star Wars. It's just an entertainment movie. It's about the hero's journey sort of thing. At least Luke's journey. But it's also, I get it. You have the Star Wars universe. There's a lot you can do with it, but it's important not to make it just lifted from the pages of today's cultural current events, and also with a very far left-wing interpretation of it. Again, tell the story, and if I had the power, I'd be like, okay, talk to the writers in the room, be like, okay, so you got these characters, and you cast them for English characters. Let's make them Middle Eastern, and all of a sudden they'd be looking at each other and like, oh, but they're portrayed in a negative manner. Yeah, just make them. You got the lead guy as a fat, I don't know, sergeant type of character in his body armor, fat with an English accent. Yeah, just, I don't know, pick a Middle Eastern country and just get a bunch of actors, get 24 actors from there, and those will be the trade guild police / soldiers, and they'll just be Middle Eastern. Oh yeah, we're not going to do that. Why not? So then it'd be kind of more well balanced, right? I mean, because it seems like it's been kind of this other direction for the past 10, for actually longer than that, where you've got this overrepresentation of the bad characters all look like these characters on screen now. It's like, why don't you? Well, you could make them Asian, Chinese, Far East. Well, I guess it wouldn't sell in China if you made them Asian, but I don't think it's selling in China anyway. It's like get 24 South Korean actors, have them play the role. Oh, actually, oddly enough, I don't think there's a whole lot of Asians. I don't think there's any East Asians in Star Wars, in Disney Star Wars at all. But my point being, they wanted to be very obvious that the bad characters are English, specifically like the UK Empire. I mean, it's like this image on screen really kind of sums it up. This guy has an English accent, and he's a fat idiot, but all cruel, malicious, stupid, and also has the best technology on Earth. So like, no, none of that makes sense. And there's plenty of girl power scenes. There's a scene where the I guess the Indian tribe, Latin American tribe, I'm not sure what they are. They all have dark hair and dark eyes. But the young girls who are in their peak fertility years they've got spears and blowguns, and they're investigating a crashed spaceship because that's exactly who you want to be your warriors during their fertile years is young girls who are, biologically speaking, when they're young and they're fertile, they're going to be more valuable to the tribe as birthing mothers and nursing mothers than as soldiers. It doesn't make any sense to put a young fertile woman in the role of a warrior. It's like, that's not been done typically throughout history. And you go, oh, this is a galaxy far, far away. Yeah, but it's not. I mean, this is just a Hollywood checklist, and you're saying it's a galaxy far, far away. So women are soldiers and women are warriors. So like, where do the babies come from? Who nurses the babies? Who cares for the babies? It's like, yeah. So where's the next generation of soldiers and warriors coming from if your young girls are going to be at risk? That's why women that have always been very risk adverse. Like, if women are picking up our arms to do battle, then it's a life or death situation for the whole tribe. But in the scene they show them in, they're simply exploring a crashed spaceship. They're armed and there's danger, but it's not like they didn't need to explore it. So that doesn't make sense. But it makes sense in the left-wing cultural Marxist world, where you have to do things that don't make sense because you have to have girl power. And you're like, yeah, but you just can't. That's not what women are for. That's not what young women are for. That's just not the biological area that they've carved out from themselves. There's like, you have to kind of stay within what's rational. They're making babies. That's kind of the goal of them. Young men and boys are kind of expendable. If the tribe has enough of them to serve the tribe's interests, it's like that's why they're explorers and warriors and soldiers, because one guy can, impregnate many women, but it takes 9 months for one woman to have a kid. So my point is, political correctness only goes so far. When they try to stretch it to cover every base, they contradict themselves. I mean, to the point where I don't know how much of this. I mean, this is like, you can do some stuff with wokeness, but you can't hit every checklist of wokeness, and this is what Andor is. It's every checklist is hit. And why exactly does these beautiful European groups, not only in Disney but in other shows too, why do the European groups have to be diverse, but the non-white groups don't have to be diverse? It's like they're trying to erase European people from the stories that they literally created. I mean, Hans Christian Andersen with The Mermaid, Tolkien with Rings of Power, and George Lucas with Star Wars. It's like you took everything about those stories, European stories created by European men, and you appropriated everything about them for non-European people. It's weird. Well, it's not weird. It's like the rules don't apply to them. They just, like, they know, oh, isn't this cultural appropriation? Yeah, I guess. And that's it. That's as far as it goes. Anyway, so the bad guys have English, Scottish, and Irish accents. So it's the evil United Kingdom against the brown third world people who have blow darts and spears. They did everything but give a Black Lives Matter lecture. It's beyond bad. It's worse than Rings of Power, which is really saying something. Episode 3 is just a Englishman / police are bad, and brown people need to rise up and slaughter the evil United Kingdom. This is so painfully stupid. I don't think even Lucas is watching it to laugh at it. I think he's just wondering what the hell is going on. The head cop, the evil English man, the lieutenant type of character, I think he has blue eyes, which is, I mean, how many times do I have to say, like, yes, focus on this. Light hair, light eyes, fair skin, and then who are the bad guys, who are the good guys, and you can just break it down by hair color and eye color, and you're going to be, the correlation is going to be 99%. This is way beyond what I expected. I mean, even Disney is accelerating things far beyond what I expected them to do. At some point, I'm kind of thinking, like, don't they want to make money? Is this going to make money? Are people going to be on board with this kind of stuff? I don't think so. I'm sure if I look up the scores on this, I'm sure it got like amazing scores, because it's got all brown people as the good people, and all like 99% European people as the bad people, and non-European people as the good people. So that alone will give it good scores. Anyway, hard to like, if you watch this would be the cherry on the top. You'd be like, oh, I'm done with Hollywood, like post 2010. Just like, you don't need to watch anything new. If this is coming out of the biggest entertainment company on earth, then yeah, Hollywood is pretty much over.